as well. I think we'll just wait one more minute before we get things firmly underway. Perfect. A few more people are coming in, so that's looking good. I think we'll just wait another minute or two because there's usually some technical issues whenever you're signed into Teams. It'll prompt an update and other things like that. Perfect. Well, I think we're almost ready to begin. Just seeing a few more people come in, so we might wait a wee bit longer, actually. There's a few stragglers coming in now with those updates coming down the line. We're delighted to have everyone join us, so we want the more the merrier. We've got a beautiful picture of Dominica to entertain and inspire us as well. Perfect. Well, we've waited a few minutes. I think it's now is a good time for us maybe to get things underway and maybe take care of some of the housekeeping as well. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here today to our webinar with the Invest Dominica Authority. And the theme of today is going to be the Dominican Advantage, maximizing your business potential in the Caribbean. So the focus today is going to be thinking about foreign direct investment going into the Caribbean and the benefits that international companies can derive from establishing their operations in Dominica and from working with Invest Dominica as well on that worthy goal. Just as a brief introduction to myself, I will be our moderator today. My name is Ian Hunter. I am the US Director for OCO Global, and I have the privilege of working alongside the team within Invest Dominica within the IDA for the last 4 months as the IDA seeks to capitalize upon its natural resources, geographic location, and also the potential talent that international firms can tap into by availing of the resources within the IDA. A little bit about our firm. We're an international FDI and trade and export consultancy. We have operations across the United States, Europe, and stretching all the way into the Middle East and into Asia as well. With the international development and foreign direct investment in mind, I am looking forward to welcoming our guest speakers today as we focus upon our theme, which is the Dominican advantage. And our goal here is to share with you some of the key insights on the benefits of establishing your operations within Dominica. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Ms. Rhoda Joseph, who is the Executive Director of the IDA, the Invest Dominica Authority. And this is the government agency responsible for spearheading and supporting international investment into Dominica. As the lead of the IDA from 2009 to present, she is responsible for investment promotion and facilitation as the lead of the IDA. And she's also an investment and business consultant, and she serves in the government and private sector committees within the Dominican government as well. Along with Rhoda, we will be hearing from Alice Simon, who is a highly experienced BPO and shared services consultant based in Dominica. Alice is the former managing director of one of the largest international BPO and shared service provider firms with operations in Dominica. And Alice will be sharing insights into Dominica's shared service cluster and how the island's highly educated talent pool gives Dominica a clear advantage when it comes to new FDI opportunities in the Caribbean. And finally, it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Craig Nesty, who has been the Executive Director of the National Telecoms Regulatory Commission for the past 11 years. He is responsible for the overall stewardship of the organisation and routinely deals with regulatory matters such as spectrum management, dispute resolution, anti-competitive issues, and retail tariff regulations. Interestingly, during his tenure, he has also implemented the Universal Service Fund, worked with the World Bank to establish the NTRC Dominica as a mobile hub in the Pitch IT project, where Dominican entrepreneurs were trained to develop and pitch mobile applications to investors. Under his watch, the Dominica Internet Exchange Point, or DANXI, was created to help increase the efficiency of the internet traffic on the island, and he has also worked with Cisco to introduce a Cisco Academy at the Dominican State College and collaborated with the Internet Society to start the Dominica Internet Society chapter. So we're looking forward to hearing from all three of them today as well. Our agenda, first and foremost, I want to start with a little bit of housekeeping. As a reminder, we do have a chat bar feature. So if you have any questions, please do post your questions into the chat bar. We are looking forward to an active set of questions that we can present to our panelists at the end of the session. I'll also be doing some Q&A with them as we move through each section as well, as we want this to be a nice fireside chat feel as well. Make it feel a little bit more organic rather than too many presentations. To kick things off then on the agenda, we will have trends in foreign direct investment into the Caribbean. And I will cover, I guess, some of the patterns of investment that we're seeing from Europe, from North America and other parts of the world into the Caribbean. And we will also consider what is driving some of those changes. What's the reasons why a foreign direct investment is so attractive to the Caribbean? And also have a consideration of what's happening with nearshoring as well. I'm sure that's a term that we have become very familiar with over the past couple of months. And indeed, it's going to be with us for some time more. After that, Ms. Rhoda Joseph will be providing some exciting insights into the key reasons why Dominica is best placed to support international investors as they plan to expand their global operations. She'll be giving us a really nice warm welcome to Nature's Island. And of course, she will share some of the exciting developments already occurring in Dominica and how new developments in renewable energy, new infrastructure projects, and digital connectivity are helping Dominica to advance its competitive condition within the Caribbean and to attract new foreign direct investment. As North America and many European countries seek safe havens following international trade disputes and the outbreak of the war in the Ukraine, I'll be looking forward to welcoming Alice, who will talk us through some of the primary benefits that Dominica's location an educated talent pool can provide to international investors who are seeking a de-risked location with a friendly business environment, which allows companies to easily invest and to scale up new teams that are culturally aligned to the investors' core markets and be able to tap into a really educated talent pool as well. And then building upon our theme of the Dominican advantage, we will be hearing from Craig Nesty as he focuses on Dominica's digital advantage. That would be contemporary, looking at the infrastructure already present on the island and how interconnected Dominica is to the rest of the world, and also some signposts towards the future as well. What are some of the exciting trends and new improvements that are coming down the line in Dominica? So that's our agenda today. And as I said, I'm going to kick things off with a quick look at foreign direct investment into the Caribbean. And the good news here is that investment into the Caribbean is rising. Obviously, there was an impact from the COVID-19 pandemic. But as you can see here, the year 2020, there wasn't that big of impact as we were expecting. You can see that the Caribbean has proven to be a very resilient location when it comes to foreign direct investment. And indeed, that's multi-sector as well. I know we do have some people join us focused on the B.P.O and shared services and knowledge industries. And the core part of that year in 2020 was born out of those foreign direct projects primarily. However, we have seen the return of diversification within a foreign direct investor sector investment as well. And there's always been the clear bounce back in 2021 and 2022. The good news here is that we've got a high number of projects creating almost 70,000 jobs. But one key takeaway that we should have here regarding CapEx. CapEx has actually fallen slightly into the Caribbean, but this is very much in lines with foreign direct investment trends globally. The reason for this is because of more automation, more digital services. They require smaller footprints, and therefore there's a direct impact into CapEx as well. So, as I said at the top of the presentation, we keep hearing about nearshoring, and this is a persistent theme that is going to be around for a very long time. COVID-19 revealed how stressed and vulnerable international supply chains have become. And with that, more foreign direct investment decision makers now are seeking those safe havens, and also to be able to partner with government as well to help them navigate any of the uncertainties that might be arising in the future as well. We're all very familiar with what's happening geopolitically as well. There's been persistent tensions between the world's leading powers, which has also promoted changes that will endure as the conflict in the Ukraine continues, and also trade tensions between the US and China disrupt those international trade flows. This has resulted in many North American and European investors seeking new locations where they can establish new teams and grow in a much more organic environment where there isn't those sort of risks in the background. And of course, there's also nearshore policy interventions. These have become popular again, where governments, especially in the United States, are currently seeking to reshape how trade is fomented between their country and other parts of the world. So again, being a good partner and being a good business partner is a key part now to what foreign direct investors are seeking when seeking to make these decisions. A brief breakdown then on where the foreign direct investment is coming from globally into the Caribbean. And as we can see here, the lion's share of FDI is actually coming from North America. And again, that's primarily focused in and around the United States. As the US, I guess, sort of seeks those new locations, those new talent locations that have been de-risked, we've seen an increase in new foreign direct investment from North America, or from the United States into the Caribbean. On the next slide, we'll actually take a little bit of a closer look at the BPO sector. Of course, Europe is coming in second. And again, we're seeing much more interest coming from the EU in light of the current conflict on its eastern borders. It's the same drivers, only this time it's coming from slightly further away. So again, European countries are seeking good partners that are culturally aligned and also in line with their business expectations as well. Latin America is also doing very well. We're seeing a rise in new projects coming from LATAM into the Caribbean as it seeks to use that region as a pivot into the United States as well. Asia and the Pacific, especially China in this region, has been very active in the Caribbean. However, due to recent trade tensions, there has been a slight mellowing of interest from China into the Caribbean and into parts of Latin America as well. As I mentioned, we're going to take a little bit of a closer look now at the BPO industry, and we're looking forward to hearing from Alice later on in the presentation as well, give us some key insights here into how Dominica is a natural fit when it comes to investors from the BPO and shared services sector. But as you can see, the BPO and shared services sector has bounced back. There is more investment now back into the Caribbean following the COVID-19 pandemic. And one of the primary reasons for this is the fact that there's been 5 years of digital adoption has been suppressed into the last 2 years. So as we all were in lockdown and we were having to use more digital services, more online banking, more gaming, more streaming, those large companies were seeking to support their new clients via using BPO and shared services providers. And you can see that has definitely been borne out here in 2022 with 5 new BPO projects coming from the United States alone. As we can see, the United States is the primary originator of most of these projects anyway, generally because of the client base that they have, but also the fact that they're seeking to use the Caribbean as a good platform to support their clients and services into Latin America as well. So what are the key trends that are shaping these nearshoring decisions? We know the big macro events, we know about the geopolitical risks, but what else is attracting foreign direct investment into the Caribbean, especially as they think about it through the lens of nearshoring? Well, the top two are actually quite closely related, which is real-time collaboration and favorable time zones. More foreign direct investment now are seeking to be able to work collaboratively and use the digital infrastructure that the country that they've established in has, and how that connects back into their headquarters as well. Again, favorable time zones really does help with this because you can speak with each other almost in real time and collaborate on the same projects at the same time as well. We're going to hear a little bit more about that digital collaboration and real-time collaboration later on when we come to Craig's presentation. A key element is also new talent pools. Many regions, especially within Latin America, have been overtaxed or oversubscribed by foreign direct investment. Those territories and regions are really well known, and with that becomes higher costs and higher attrition rates and oversaturated markets. So many foreign direct investment decisions now are looking for those hidden gems, new sources of talent where they can land, expand, and scale their teams. But of course, competitive costs is also always a key driver when it comes to foreign direct investment. We're going to hear a little bit more about how Dominica is competitively positioned when it comes to its cost profile, especially in regards to talent. Government support is also back in again. Previously, before COVID, foreign direct investment didn't rely so much on government support, or at least didn't seek it out in the ways that they now do. They understood that once lockdown orders started to happen and flights started to get cancelled, they needed to have insight. They needed to have that friend in government to help them, one, secure their current operations and make sure that delivery occurred seamlessly. So again, having a strong government presence and also friendly relations between countries, and also tapping into trade agreements and making sure that those FDI decision makers can access as many markets as possible is another key decision that shapes foreign direct investment. And then finally, bilingual talent. Again, when it comes to nearshoring, many foreign direct investment decision makers are seeking to be able to maximize their support into the Latin American market, or to be able to support the clients that they have who are bilingual in their indigenous markets. And here again, I'm thinking primarily of the United States and also into the European Union as well. So with that in mind, I'm going to now hand over to Miss Rhoda Joseph, who is the Executive Director of the IDA, who's going to give us a warm welcome to Dominica, Nature's Island. Rhoda, I will hand over to you now.
Thank you, Ian. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Dominica, the nature island of the Caribbean, and we like to see the world as well. For those of you not familiar to where Dominica is, it is located in the center of the Eastern Caribbean island chains, as you can see on the map, between the two French territories of Guadeloupe and Martinique, Martinique to the south and Guadeloupe to the north. It is located 1,400 miles south of Miami. So if you have to move from North America, there is a hub from Miami direct to Dominica. Actually, we have free flights daily. So it's access to get to Dominica is very easy. Dominica is the place you want to be. It's where it is happening. We are known as the Nature Island, and this has been solidified by the numerous accolades that we continue to receive. For example, Forbes magazine in 2023 rated Dominica as the #1 in the top 5 destinations to put on your radar. So in 2023, this is the place that you want to be. Similarly, Travel and Leisure has rated Dominica #1 in the 25 best islands in the Caribbean. We have beauty abound. We are known for our rivers, our mountains, and even our underwater marine life. We are consistently been rated as a top 5 dive destination in the world. And in 1997, Dominica was the first Caribbean island in the Eastern Caribbean to be inscribed with the UNESCO Heritage Site. So that means our Mount Wapito National Park is the first UNESCO Heritage Site in the Eastern Caribbean. We are very committed to nature. 60% of our land space is covered with rainforest, and we're known as the island with 465 rivers. We are the buzz destination for investment and tourism. And we really want, as you go through this webinar, to understand and listen, and we hope to see you in Dominica pretty soon.
Wonderful. Thank you for that warm welcome, Rhoda. You've definitely painted a nice picture in my imagination, so I really do appreciate it. Rhoda, one of the key decisions that we're hearing when it comes to foreign direct investment is in relation to ESG goals, so environment, sustainability, and governance. This is now being factored in much more frequently when it comes to these decisions and has become very popular in North America especially, and also into the EU. I was wondering, can you talk us through a little bit about how Dominica's natural advantages can help foreign direct investors hit their ESG goals?
Well, certainly, as I've indicated previously, everything about us is nature. We understand the concept of sustainability. We can understand the concept of good governance. Our logo says a destination of promise and a destination of integrity. So we fully understand what it means in terms of good governance. We understand in terms of the environment and the need to preserve, and all our development goals support
so I really do appreciate it.
For example, as a small island nation in the Caribbean, Dominica is severely impacted, like many others, by climate change. And one, as a response to this, and subsequent to the Hurricane Maria that hit Dominica in 2017 and devastated 97% of our GDP, the government was quick to respond and respond in a positive manner. And the government put forward a new country vision, and that is to be the first climate resilient nation by 2030. This was commissioned through laws. So we have the Climate Resiliency Act, which was passed in 2018, and the establishment of the Climate Resilience Agency that ensures all our buildings and everything that we do is centered on resilience. Again, looking at the environment, we have a national resilience policy that guides in terms of, what it is that the government has to do, what it is that the private sector has to do, so that whatever it is that is being done is in furtherance of ensuring that we reach our goal of climate resiliency by 2030. Recognizing as well that Dominica is a small island developing state, we have a small population, we have limited economies of scale, but yet still we must compete in the international markets. It is expected that we need to be part of this global economy. And therefore, governments, again, recognizing it, and through the various institutions and agencies like Invest Dominica, understands and has committed themselves to being fully digital by 2030. Because through this digital economy, we'll be able to advance, we'll be able to compete. The playing field may never be level, but at the same time, the access that we will have through digital economy will allow us at least to have an advantage in that way. So again, digital economy or climate resiliency are some of the things that we understand, and they also have very low impact on the environment. Our geothermal energy, we are pushing forward to this. Again, we want to be energy independent. We understand, the various wars and what is happening in the international world and how it can impact on fossil fuel. And we know the hazard it is to the environment. And given of our natural resources of geothermal, we have advanced and look forward to the commissioning of a 20 megawatt geothermal plant by 2024, which will allow for a reduction in energy bill for businesses. Again, that is going to make the island attractive for investment because the cost of electricity will be very low. As we move forward and as we try to open up ourselves and Dominica to the world, we are advancing with our international airport, and that is expected to be completed by 2016. We believe that it's going to be a game changer for Dominica. I mean, it's going to allow you to come directly from your different location, direct flights to Dominica, without having to go through Miami if you choose not to. So again, we believe those type of infrastructure activities, those type of government policies is all going to come together to make Dominica and continue to make us an attractive destination for both tourism and investment. And even when we look at our various sectors that we are promoting, our sectors which we are looking at for our investment strategy and action plan is premised on ensuring that we adhere to sustainable development goals, as well as our vision of climate resiliency. This is a thread that is going to through everything that we do. And sustainable knowledge sector and the B.P.O and shared services is one such example. Why do we look at the B.P.O for Dominica? We have success in the past, and Alice will speak about it further, but IDA has helped to attract successful investments in that area. We are very close to the North America time zone, and we have a competitive cost advantage in terms of doing business, in terms of wages, and pretty soon in terms of our energy.
Fantastic. Wonderful insights there, Rhoda. Thank you for sharing that, and also hearing about the future-focused nature of the island in terms of its environmental policies is obviously very attractive, but also infrastructure plays a key part to this as well. And I look forward to booking my flight from New York directly to Dominica very, very soon as well. Rhoda, perhaps you can give us a brief insight into the work of the IDA. What is it that you do exactly, and the support that you provide to foreign direct investment?
Well, the Invest Dominica Authority, we like to say that we are the one-stop shop, and indeed we are. We are the conduit between the investor and the government. We are the sole investment agency in Dominica, responsible for promoting and facilitating investments. We do all the hand holding. We take away all the difficulties in terms of doing business, the unsureness of what it is that you need to do. Once you come in to Invest Dominica, whether via email, whether via any type of medium, we are there to assist you and guide you. We are directly responding or to the Minister for Investment, who also happens to be the Prime Minister. So you see the response time is very swift and it's an easy access. We have a proven track record, as I've said already, of FDI facilitation. We have one of the largest, assisted one of the largest B.P.O on island. We have numerous hotels and numerous other type of investments that we have provided support to. We also would prepare a slate of incentives for those that are wishing to invest and would like to have these incentives to help them to reduce their costs further. So we are here to help. We have a team that is nimble and very responsive. And so that we can assure you that once you get through to Dominica, that Invest Dominica is going to be here to provide necessary support and facilitation required.
Perfect. Lowering all those barriers of entry and knowledge into a new market is vitally important. And that's exactly what the IDA provides here. So delighted to hear that. And also access at the highest levels of government as well really shows you how important foreign direct investment is to Dominica as well. Rhoda, then just to finally to maybe wrap things up then, can you give us, I guess, an insight into some of the other factors that the IDA can pull, or the other levers, I should say, when it comes to supporting and facilitating foreign direct investors?
Well, certainly, we, according to the World Bank 2019 ranking, it takes only 12 days to register a business in Dominica. You can even actually now register a business online. You can actually register your business online. You do not need to engage a legal counsel to do that for you. So that again is a reduced cost in doing business. We are very efficient in terms of purchasing land. We have no capital gains tax, no death tax, no estate tax. So the business environment is very open, it's very transparent in terms, and it affords you to be able to make a decision in quick time. We have citizenship by investment program, which is another avenue for you to do investments. So you can either do it through real estate, doing a development through real estate. You can become a citizen of Dominica by either contributing 100,000 to our economic development program. These monies are used to go towards social projects. The international airport is actually being funded through our CBI revenues. And if you want to have a piece in terms of real estate in Dominica, then you can go through the same program and purchase shares or outright property in one of our approved real estate developments. So this is again allows you to become a resident in Dominica. And once you're a resident in Dominica, you're a citizen of Dominica, you're afforded the same type of facilitation that any citizen would get. Notwithstanding, everything we do is non-discriminatory. We adhere to the world WTO rules, and there is no difference once you're ready to invest between a local and a foreign investor. Again, we have an ambitious goal that we are pushing for in terms of being the first climate resilient country in the world. Craig will tell you about our resilient telecommunication networks and our digital technologies that we have. Again, the government is looking forward. So we're looking forward as to see what are some of the areas that we need to push forward, recognizing technologies playing a major role in this. What are we doing how are we going to get our sustainable development goals, which sectors that we are looking at? So all of these are what is driving us to move forward. in terms of the foreign direct investment that we wish to attract. As I keep saying, we are not for everybody. We are very committed to the environment, and that is always a key criteria when we're looking at any type of investment. But once you are committed to the same goals that we share, then we look forward to welcoming you and providing you the necessary support and assistance that is required.
Wonderful. Thank you for that overview, Rhoda. Really do appreciate the insights and also hearing about the future-focused nature of the work of the IDA as well. With that in mind, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, who is Alice Simon. Alice is the former General Manager of Clear Harbour, which is one of the largest BPO and service providers on the island. Alice, maybe just to kick things off, it'd be great to hear from you and to hear your understanding of what are the main drivers that generally attract BPO and shared service centres to Dominica. Based upon your years of experience, what do you think is Dominica's unique selling points in this exciting sector?
Welcome everyone. Thank you, Ian. So we've heard in previous slides the other panelists talk about nearshore, and of course we cannot emphasize enough how much that means to an investor. Of course, the time zones is ideal for American and Canadian markets, and also in my experience, what has made it a huge benefit for stakeholders is being able to get to the island quickly, which means that, you know, your call centers or your business centers are more accessible. You can visit as frequently as you like. You know, that way you feel like you're more intimate with your business. Another huge advantage with Dominica is the fact that, you know, we're English speaking. English is our national language, and therefore it's easy. I found it to be very easy for individuals to have a neutral accent. You know, while there are some who requires, you know, a little bit of training, but it comes naturally to communicate with Western customers. You know, and of course that eliminates a dialect from our speech. Dominica is known for its free education, and I'm not just talking about, you know, primary education or secondary education. Also our tertiary education is free. Today about 94% of the island students enroll into the secondary schools, which, you know, makes for a very educated population. What this translates to is a huge available talent pool, you know, ready, available to work. They're educated, they have, you know, they understand the world of work, they understand, you know, the education system. Lastly, there is the adaptability of the people, and that's unique to Dominica. I found that of course, I've worked with different Caribbean islands, and I found that the Dominican people are a lot more adaptable. And what this means, especially, of course, that's especially an advantage to the BPO world, because we know that the BPO world is ever changing. You know, you have a process here that gets changed really quickly. So they have the capacity to adjust quickly. You know, if you have a new provider, a new process, your provider has changes, that happens fairly quickly. So that has been one of the major advantages of doing business with Dominica.
Perfect. No, this is wonderful, Alice. Thank you for sharing these insights. We spoke, I guess, a little bit at the top as well about that, you know, the drivers of nearshoring, and talking about, you know, alignment in terms of time zones and things like that. But I know this is an area that you've sort of explored as well, which is around the cultural affinity, especially between Dominica and North America. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about that, because again, it's a key, I guess, factor now that's being decisioned in being factored in by the decision makers within the BPO cluster.
Yeah, yes, for sure. So of course we've mentioned that before, and it's a reiteration. However, you know, Dominica is very familiar with the Westernized culture. And what, we look at their TV, we sometimes even get educated in, the Western countries. So what this means is that it's easier for acculturation to take place. The individuals are easier, they're better able to communicate, better able to understand, the different cultures or the Western culture and adapt accordingly.
Perfect. And I guess, Alice, just to round things off, are there any other examples, I guess, of the advantages of Dominica? Like we mentioned a wee bit at the top of the presentation, that certain areas within Latin America and even the Caribbean have been oversubscribed by the BPO sector as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about Dominica's cluster and the potential that it has?
Yes. Today, Dominica only has one call center. And what this means is that the market is fairly untapped. So there is a lot of opportunity with an educated workforce, with an available workforce. There is a lot of opportunity to introduce additional BPO business on the island and to make that successful and grow it very quickly. So that's one of the advantages of Dominica. The second advantage of Dominica, which also I know based on my experience, is the ability of individuals or the people to be upskilled. What this means is, one individual is able to work several platforms. This is especially an advantage to the call center world because you're able to transition individuals from, let's say, a chat platform to a voice platform to a data platform as your business needs, changes. And this makes for really, really great redundancy as it relates to staffing.
Perfect. Alice, thank you so much for those insights and for taking us a little bit deeper into one of the, I guess, most interesting and vibrant sectors within Dominica, but also one where I know that our audience is interested in as well. I'm delighted to see that there's quite a few questions have come through. You've sparked some good thoughts. And just as a wee bit of a reminder to the rest of our audience as well, please do add your questions to the Q&A feature on the Zoom app, and we'll get to those at the very end of the presentation. But now we're going to hear from one last speaker, and it's a pleasure for me to introduce Mr. Craig Nesty, who is the Executive Director of the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, just as a brief reminder, who's going to talk to us about Dominica's digital advantage. But Craig, maybe before we start talking about all those ones and zeros that are flying out of Dominica to the rest of the world, can you give us an introduction to yourself and tell us a little bit about your role? Sorry, Craig, I think you're still on mute.
Yeah, sorry.
There we go.
So I was saying, I've been in telecoms for over 16 years. I worked with one of the major telecom operators back then. It was Cable and Wireless, they're now called Flow, as a telecom engineer. And then I moved to IP and data manager for the region. Subsequent to that, I joined the regulatory environment, and I've been there for the last 10 years, well over 10 years, basically regulating the sector, ensuring that we have fair competition and protecting the consumer's interests.
Perfect. Craig, thank you for the introduction. Can you give us an overview now of Dominica's digital advantage and what sets Dominica, I guess, aside when it comes to its connectivity, perhaps with the rest of the world, and also the digital services and infrastructure that's available on the island?
Right. So Dominica is uniquely positioned in the Caribbean and is connected by 2 fiber optic cables getting offshore. One is the Middle Caribbean Network and one is the Eastern Caribbean Fiber System. They have about 200 gigabits of lit capacity right now, and they have a current end of life of 1.1 terabits. Currently, Dominica is using less than 20% of that capacity, and that capacity is actually doubled because both fiber networks would have similar capacities. we also implemented what you call an IXP, an Internet Exchange Point, which sort of makes the internet a lot more efficient. So a lot of content does not have to come from the US or from Europe. Once it comes into Dominica, once it's cached and Dominicans can access it. So the content ratio is about 1:5. So we can reduce the requirement for international bandwidth by about 1/5. So there's more than enough capacity for business process outsourcing to utilize the internet services for their activities. And what makes it even more attractive is the fact that a lot of our speakers in the past talked about nearshore. Well, the fact that you're so close to the US means that your latency is very, very small. Like I would have ping rates to California of less than 20 milliseconds. I mean, the physics of that is just speed of light. It would take you that much more time to get to India and other regions further afield, right? You also have direct and diverse access to metropoles from Dominica for different hubs that our fiber system is connected to, like Miami, New York, Virginia, Ashburn, as well as some places in Europe like Paris. So in all, our international connectivity makes us very, very attractive for business process outsourcing. On the domestic side, though, we have 2 fiber optic dual ring architectures running on the north of the island and the south of the island and interconnected in the middle. What that means is that you could have up to 2 breaks on the fiber network per operator and still be able to function. So with that level of network redundancy and path redundancy, it means that your operations would be very, very resilient, and it would safeguard your ability to provide services to your consumers. Right? Our internet penetration is greater than 90%, and that has been accelerated through the recent pandemics and other social events. So what that did was it forced a number of our students, workers, politicians to all adjust to the new trend. And it accelerated the outlay of internet throughout the island. Right now, our minimum speeds are about 100 megabits per second. And we've all migrated from copper networks and hybrid coax fiber networks to pure fiber networks. So we have only fiber to the home networks being deployed right now in Dominica. If we talk about the skill technicians that are on island, this is also a point that I should raise, because their capacity to deliver service is unparalleled. I mean, we had situations where Johnny Depp was in Dominica to film Pirates of the Caribbean, and he would have to do shoots in very, very remote locations. And I remember deploying internet services to Johnny Depp at T2 Gorge and on Batibu Beach. And Disney was very, very pleased with the efficiency and the speed with which this was done. And that just goes to show the tenacity, the capacity, and the skill of the technical team that's available. And on top of that, the SLAs they provide, the service level agreements for connectivity, is unparalleled. I mean, they manage and monitor the systems 24/7, and they always try to comply with the parameters set out in the service level agreements, right? I'm not sure if you know Daniel Langwa. He started a small company called Soft Image, where they provided 3D graphics and 3D animations to movies such as Matrix, Pirates of the Caribbean, Harry Potter, Jurassic Park. Well, he utilizes one of our operators in a very, very remote location on the island, where he's must be like 5 kilometers off the main road, basically. And he has built an eco resort out there. He works from there, providing world-class services to companies in New York, Canada, and further afield, right? So that's it from the physical infrastructure. But on top of that, we have an enabling infrastructure, like the regulations which are put in place to ensure that you have significant quality of service, consumer protection, the ability for you to exercise a dispute resolution mechanism if you're unsatisfied with anything that the provider has done or the provider has not complied with. So these are all enshrined within our Telecommunications Act, right? On top of that, we've passed a number of e-commerce regulations and pieces of legislation to help with things like electronic evidence, electronic filing, electronic funds transfers, and electronic transactions, which would make the process of you doing online transactions through Dominica very regulated and safe and secure. Or at least you have the recourse through the courts to ensure that anything untoward occurs within that medium, you have a channel to resolution.
Perfect.
Moving forward, though, beyond that, there's a project called the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, which is being put forward by the World Bank, which Dominica is actively participating in. The project has about 4 pillars. The digital enabling environment pillar, where we're trying to create the framework or enhance the framework to ensure that digital transactions and digital opportunities can be performed in areas like telecommunications, digital financial services, and cybersecurity. And there's a component that deals just with government services to ensure that our governments are more nimble and efficient in responding to consumers' needs. And so there are cross-cutting enablers throughout the government services that will be implemented through that project. And the part I think that you may be most interested in, though, is the workforce-ready digital skills subcomponent. So there's a big push towards ensuring that students, the populace of Dominica, have the necessary skills to participate in the digital economy. And finally, there's project implementation support from the World Bank itself, who's providing financial support, technical support to ensure that these projects get implemented. The good thing about this, though, is the projects are ongoing. They're still open to input. So any business process outsourcing organization who comes into Dominica may be able to effectively impact the direction in which these investments and technology improvements are going.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Craig. I have many questions specifically around Pirates of the Caribbean and the film industry, but we'll move on. So thank you for sharing those insights as well. And again, it really does speak to the natural beauty of Dominica alongside its digital attractiveness as well. So thank you very much, Craig.
You're most welcome.
Thank you to all our speakers this evening, and especially for staying to time. We are coming up on the hour, but we do have some chats or some questions that have appeared in the chat bar. So I think maybe we'll try and group some together, and I'll start in reverse order with the question that just came in last, and it was very polite as well. It starts with good day. In terms of solar energy, is there some program or assistance already organized for new investment? Rhoda, I'm going to direct this question to you with regards to solar energy investment.
Yes, there is. For renewables, including solar, the government has a policy in place that these items are allowed to be brought in duty-free. So there is no duties to be paid on the importation of solar energy items that you would wish to use for your establishment. We encourage persons actually, to use renewable energy as much as possible.
Perfect. And I'm sure if there's additional follow-up questions to this one as well, we're going to share our contact details on the very next slide. So if you want to follow up with us directly, that would be fantastic. Or if Rhoda's answer has prompted more questions, that's what we're here for. I have another question then that came in shortly after Alice's presentation. So I'm going to direct this one to Rhoda and to Alice. Beyond Clear Harbour, are there other BPOs present on the island, other shared service providers or shared service companies? And would the island be able to support additional BPOs given the size of the population? So I know, Alice, in your presentation, you did speak a little bit about the capacity within the island. So perhaps I'll direct this question over to yourself. You just have to unmute yourself. There we go.
Sure, no problem. So today we don't have any additional BPOs on the island. However, in terms of capacity, we graduate on a yearly basis, an average of about 900 people between our secondary schools and our college. So it doesn't mean that everyone is going to go looking for a BPO job, but a good fraction of these people are out looking for jobs. So there is availability of resources to fill BPO work.
Perfect. Thank you very much. The chat bar has just become alive. So we have a follow-up question, or I guess one that's related to the previous question regarding renewable energy. And this one asks, are you able to give some insight as to whether Dominica has plans to participate in green finance initiatives? For example, emissions of green bonds. Rhoda, I'll direct that question to yourself.
Good questions. Yes, and in one of the Honorable Prime Minister's speech, actually, when the government won elections, and one of the things that he mentioned, and he has been mentioning it since, is in terms of the green bonds. That is going to something that's government is interested in pursuing and looking at. We have a unit in the Ministry of Economic Planning that deals with all the serious green initiatives. So yes, these are things that we are looking at, and I can certainly, once I have the contact, I can put you on to the coordinator of those various green initiatives.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Rhoda. And hopefully that addresses the question and also inspires a call to action as well to get in touch with you and your team. I have two final questions then, which are related. And again, Rhoda, I think these will be for you. The first question, I think you addressed during your presentation, but I'll ask it anyway. Can a foreign investor purchase property in Dominica? And is that something that the IDA can support?
Certainly, any foreign national can purchase property in Dominica. IDA, we have a list in our portfolio. We'd be happy, once we have the contact, to make that available to you. Or we can also arrange for site visits. There are a number of prime real estate property for business as well as for residential. And so we are willing and can provide the support to connect you with those properties.
Wonderful. And then slightly related to this question as well is the question, what's the availability of Class A real estate on the island?
There are emerging new commercial enterprises, buildings being constructed. We have even from government providing housing, new housing developments, new housing areas. We have a number and several private sector establishing new business. So there's a Class A commercial real estate around the island. Again, we can also make that available. There are a number of real estate agencies that we can point you into, that if you have a specific area that you'd want, or you have a specific profile of the property that you wish to consider, we can also make that available to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rhoda. That is the end of our questions for today's presentation. Hopefully that has I guess, inspired some people to find out more and to follow up with the IDA directly with regards to any additional questions that they might have following today's presentation. We are planning a series of webinars, so there will be more to come in 2023. As you've heard, Dominica is a very exciting place, and given the events that are happening in the world right now, now is the time to be considering Dominica as your new home for foreign direct investment. I want to say a big thank you to Rhoda and Alice and Craig for giving us a deeper insight into Dominica and the advantage that foreign direct investors can gain from establishing in this exciting part of the world. As follow-up, we will be editing today's webinar, and we will be making it available to everyone that has attended as well. So keep an eye out on your inboxes as well, because you'll be able to get the contact information on other aspects as well from today's presentation, including all of the slides as well. So without further ado, we are slap bang on time. I just want to say one big thank you again to our panelists, to everyone who was active in the chat bar and participated, and then also to all of you who have joined us today. We really do appreciate your time, and thank you for learning more about Dominica and the IDA as well. Without anything more to say, I will leave us all there. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.